If you saw someone beating a dog on the street, would you feel the need to stop it? Would you call the police? Would you speak up? Now, what if it was a pig and the violence wasn't out in the open, but hidden behind a wall in a place labeled standard practice? Would it still matter? That is speciesism. To put simply, speciesism is the belief that some lives matter more than others, just because they were born into a different body, a different species. Like pet the dog, cut the pig, cuddle the cat, bleed the cow. I love animals, but only the ones we've been taught to see as lovable. Don't remind me of the body on my plate, or the mother I've separated from its baby so I could drink her milk. What is the morally relevant difference? Is it their shape, their size, the sounds they make? Some might say it's intelligence, but that idea falls apart quickly. What makes you think humans are morally superior? Because you are smarter? Then let me ask you this. Are you okay with killing a human who has the same intelligence as a pig? A baby? Someone with a cognitive disability? Of course not, because intelligence doesn't determine worth. We don't judge human value with IQ tests. So why would we want to do that to animals? The sentient life isn't valuable because it can solve math problems. It's valuable because it can feel, because it can suffer, because it doesn't want to die. But we rarely question it because it's normal, because it's tradition, because everyone else does it. But normal doesn't mean moral, and tradition doesn't make something right. If we treated dogs the same way we treat pigs, we'd call it abuse. But when the victim changes, so does the language. We call it dinner, we call it humane, we call it necessary. But none of those words make it justified. It's not tradition, it's indoctrination, not necessity, but convenience. So ask yourself, could you do it with your own hands? Could you take a knife, look that animal in the eyes, and end their life for a meal you don't need? Most of us couldn't, because deep down, we know something doesn't feel right. We know they scream, we know they run, we know they're afraid to die. We just been taught to ignore it. Between the victim and the violence, between the suffering and our choices. We use words like beef, pork, so we don't have to say cow, pig, or someone. We cover the packaging with phrases like free range, halal. Now imagine this. Before you were born, you didn't know who you would be. Not your gender, your race, your wealth, not even your species. You could be born a human, or a pig, a cow, a chicken. And in that uncertainty, you're asked to design a fair world. A world where anyone could live without fear or cruelty. What kind of world would you build? Would you build one where your value depended on your species? Where your life could be taken just because of the body you were born into? Or would you build one where justice didn't stop at the edge of humanity? Because justice isn't justice if it only applies to those who look like us. And compassion doesn't mean anything if it ends where habit begins. That's the heart of anti speciesism. Rejecting the belief that one species matters more than another. Expanding the circle of care to include all beings who can suffer or who want to live. So maybe the real question is it finally time to change and go vegan? For the animals, for the planet, and for our health.